Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is Joe, the 50-something Dasher, covering my DoorDash activities for Tuesday, November 4th, 2025. Again, the upcoming schedule, at least this is the plan for now anyway. Tomorrow, Wednesday, I plan on just doing a 6 to 11 and coming home, shooting a video for that. That'll come out on Thursday. Thursday, I don't plan to work or do anything, but that could change. We could do some gig work out of town. We'll see. And then Friday, we'll be back to the normal routine where I do the gig work and post the video that same day, and then going forward from Friday on. Today was started out like really good, and a complete like polar opposite of yesterday, to where I is kind of like as we were getting around like 9, 10, closing in on 11 a.m. I was wondering if I was in store for a perfect dash. At least by yesterday's standards, today could have been perfect compared to yesterday. But I had a couple unfortunate things happen at the last couple orders, and I'll get to that. But and it had me kind of thinking earlier, what would I consider like a perfect dash? What would be perfection? And this is kind of like fantasy talk right here, but I think what a perfect dash would be logging in and right off the bat getting some kind of catering order, and you just do that one order that takes you like less than an hour to do start to finish, and it pays over $300. And then you just do that one order, drop it off, log off, and you've made over $300 in one day for less than an hour. That would be, if I had to say what a perfect dash would be, that would be it. Which none of us will probably ever see that, but hey, you never know. Okay, so logged in at 6 o'clock in the morning again, waited about 24 minutes, and got a 1275 9.5 mile Panera. And so this was my first order to get me started. Took under a half hour to make 1275, 550 plus 725. So off to a good start with that one. Then right away, $25, 11 mile Meyer, 14 items, absolutely. So here's the list here. They were stocking. There's like 2 or 3 people stocking produce when I got there, so it was kind of hard to work around them. And I know one of the things here, it's these black grapes. The guy had to go to the back to get those. And even when he brought them out, I grabbed the wrong ones and he had to correct me. But as he was going to get you see here, I had other things to get and produce while he was doing that. At the time, the only bananas that they had was like very ripe bananas, and they were all discounted. I messaged the customer and he said, go ahead and get organic. Okay, so I substituted organic. There's two, you see here, 2 bunches. Okay, well, then that was for the regular bananas, but I don't know if I still, wait a minute. Okay. So yes, I must admit, this is weird. I don't know that I've ever seen this before, so this is why it kind of confused me. But you see there's organic and regular bananas listed here. Usually, I've never seen this before. A customer orders one or the other. So when I substituted the regular bananas for organic per the customer request, and then I see 2 more organic bunches, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's what I just got. So they wanted 4 bunches total, And I thought about messaging the customer, but I'm like, no, if that's, if that's what the list says, I'm just going to go with what the list says here. And then long story short, after I did all of that and got all the rest of this produce and was going off to other parts of the store, they were stocking the regular bananas. Like, yeah. You can change I could have changed it and but I just stuck with what I had. And so I don't know. Okay, then I forgot about this. This was a decline, $6. But adding an additional 8.5 miles. So I declined this, and I forgot about this decline. Is I went along and I kept accepting offers, and I thought I was on a streak without any declines. And like I said, totally forgot about this one. But this was a decline. Okay, so there you see my substitution. That might have been the only one. So this was a 17-minute shop. For how many items was it again? 14. If it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the banana thing, I would have had this done in less than 15 minutes. The wagon returned to action for the first time in a while. So because there was you can't see it, but there's a case of water, and then my 2 catering bags. You had all those bananas. You had 2 cartons of the Minute Maid juices. I think there was I want to say 2 gallons of distilled water. Yeah, right here. So this was a heavy order. And you see, the customer is off to the right here, about probably like underneath this Wonder Woman picture. Okay, is about where the customer would be. And I'm parked clear over here to the left, off screen. So I said it before in my videos, guys. Equipment, 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 equipment. Well worth the investment. I don't care if this wagon, if I only had to break it out once every 6 months, it's still worth the investment. I would have now this would have been 2 trips without question. I would have had to walk. You see how big that courtyard is. You either come down the sidewalk, and then, which is what I did with the wagon. I came down this long sidewalk and then made a turn to the left and had to go past about 3 or 4 apartments to the customer. That's a long walk. Dashers that didn't have the catering bags, didn't have the wagon, they would have had to get the water first and walk that across that courtyard, come back to their car, and get all of those sacks. And if you were to do that in one trip with the 2 big cartons of juice, the 2 gallons of distilled water, and all the other stuff that was in there, might have been 3 trips total for an average person. Or 2 trips if you were brave and strong enough. But I'm telling you what, that would be a serious workout for the forearms right there. I used to be a power weightlifter for 10 years. And that ended as soon as COVID started, is when that ended for me. But that would have been a lot for even me. Even back in my weightlifting days, that would have been challenging for me to do. Let alone, just your average, dasher. And if you had somebody with you, that it'd be a different story. But dashers by themselves without equipment like this, oh my God, man, uh, so finish that at $7.42, $13 and a $12 tip. So this was a little under an hour for the 25 bucks. Again, off to a great start. 10 minutes later, I'm heading back to zone. Let's just go right back out there. $18. It's just 6 things to shop. Let's go ahead and do it. And this was super easy. You got some pop here, some bread, milk, this candy from the checkout lane, some pretzels. 6 minute shop, done, easy, and delivered that at 8:28 to the same street, different customer. So like 36 minutes for 18 bucks. Again, that was pretty good. 14.50, 3.54 on that tip. Another shopping order, 14.25, 9 miles. A lot of that mileage is because I'm not back in zone yet. Only 4 things to shop. So I took this. Then I get a stack. This is a bigger order than the other one, but paying less. So $13 and shopping 12 different things, 21 units. So now you're talking, let's just say $28 for 13 miles. Absolutely. And you see that came in, like that add-on came in right away. DoorDash would have, the system would have could have saved some money on base pay if they would have just combined those in a stack, but oh well. Here's the list. This Laughing Cow cheese right here. I mean, the location was listed, and I didn't know why I didn't just trust that. But I looked around the cheese up front, kind of like near the bakery. I looked around at all those coolers and bunkers first, which it wasn't there. When I saw this picture, I was concerned about this right here. I was like, this turkey or whatever this is, this better not be sliced from the deli counter. But no, it was just a little individual, like a small frozen turkey, and I found that in the bunkers, and found the cheese where it was supposed to be. And so this was just 17 minutes, and it was 16 things to shop for, 17 minutes. So that's about where you want to be at, about a minute an item. And delivered so that's the higher paying, the smaller item count first. 775 and 650, and then so 13 minutes later, the bigger order delivered 650 and 692 tip. It's at 9:38, so an hour. I made about 28 bucks. Next up, another stacked shopping order. I was like, sweet. Keep sending me stacked shopping orders one after another. And I was hoping that this would continue, and I could just do, I did the one food order to start. Hey, just keep giving me shopping orders until I meet my goal, and that would be almost like a perfect dash. So I went ahead and took this, absolutely. And even distribution here, 15 items each customer. But A is the smaller order size-wise because of the 5 avocados. These Takis right here, I had to instead of is calling for a big pack of them. And they didn't have any, like where the aisle where the big variety boxes are is supposed to be like that, but they didn't have any Takis over there. So the substitution was 3 individual bags. And then also this Impossible bratwurst, they didn't have that, and I was able to refund it. And these that I've shown in a couple of my recent videos, where if you take the picture with the shelf tag when you're marking something unavailable, it has been turning those into like exceptions on my stats. So, right, I just checked it before starting this video. I'm at 100% total items found, and it shows like 5 exceptions. And you go to click on that, and of course, the bratwurst is in there, and it's listed as an exception, because I took that shell picture, and the fact that the customer, there's like a little note on there for each one that says the customer requested a refund. So by the combination of those two things, it doesn't count against me now. So, I mean, that's good. I also got an email, I think it was yesterday, that said that talked about the shopping stats and everything, and it said that so not as much was going to count against you, and so because of that, they were raising the rates that you need to make in order to hit Pro Shopper, like the like original items found was like 92%, I think, and I think the email said they were raising it to like 96, or I don't know. But if you do shopping orders, I'm sure you got the email about that. So was this about 20-minute shop? And while I'm checking out, I get this notification that one of those past Kroger deliveries, customer had an additional $2 tip. So outstanding. Appreciate that a lot. There's my first drop off at 10:30, and second drop off at 10:42. 15.25 from DoorDash. 8.25 on the one tip, and there it is right there. Thank you very much. And so that was, again, about an hour and $23. Good day so far. What in the world is that outside? What was that? You noisy vehicle, whatever you are. I don't know what that was. Just keep the shopping orders going at 15, and then this is going to the same street, 1550, 14 and a half miles, only 7 things to shop. Let's go back there, okay? Got some. First 3 things here is different kinds of filters. So I don't know. Was I going to be able to find all these? I don't know. But the rest of this, bacon, hamburger patties, some checker fries, some tomatoes, that's all easy. So the food here only took me 4 minutes. And then at 11, now I'm down to just the filters. And this is 3 different parts of the store here. This is grocery up here. This is like I don't like housewares back of the store, and this is like your like all your kitchen stuff area, like silverware and kitchen gadgets. And now L32, there are no odd section numbers. It's only even. If you see now, this is something that only like a experienced shopper that's ran into this before would know. So you have to run into this type of thing first. That's why experience in shopping orders pays off, folks. You have to just be patient and let that experience come. But I knew that this was, and it's not an aisle, it's one of the end caps. So I just went end cap to end cap and found that. And then these other two things were easy, right in the aisles and sections that it said. Finished at 11:04. So 4 minutes for the food, 4 minutes for the filters. Found everything. And took this screenshot to show that how crazy is that? One street, this Buckeye Circle, I went to, in just a 4 hour span, I delivered 3 shopping orders to 3 different customers on the same street. That's absolutely crazy, I thought. Uh, and no surprise, 1550, all from DoorDash. And the shopping order offer streak ends at 11:37, and I thought this was my first decline of the day, but it wasn't. And obviously, I'm not gonna take this to keep some kind of streak going. This is insanity here. $14, 23 miles, and one of the stores is up in Hilliard. And I've talked about this kind of thing before too in my videos. We have Sonic and Crumble in this zone, okay? So this is like insanity to me. Not only are you not have if you're going to give something like this to me, and deliver to West Zone, that's fine, but let me pick up both of these places in my zone and then go to the customer. But no, you just want me to pick up the Sonic here, and then you want me to drive, and you want me to go past the customer to some other Crumble location in Hilliard, and then backtrack to the customer. Um, we can't get routing figured out and corrected and perfected with human drivers, and so now we're all ready and set to go for automation and robots. We can't get things figured out with people, but apparently it's now the time has come for robots. Am I missing something here, folks? Yeah. That took me down to 37%. Started the dash at 34, so I raised it up to 38, and then now we're going down again. Let's keep going down. You might as well say $11, 13 miles, Bibby Bop, and a 23 item PetSmart pickup. You have no way of knowing what this is until you get there. That could be super easy. That could be 23 live crickets, or it could be 23 40-pound bags of dog food. Folks, this is not something at all that you want to be gambling on or playing around with. In my opinion, decline. I went ahead and took this. This kind of raunchy, but it's all staying in zone. It's a dollar per mile match, staying in zone, and I'll end the insanity. I'll just take this, and then for the next half hour or whatever, you can't bombard me because I'm on this. Okay. Okay, folks. You just take a second, breathe, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just calm down here. I don't need to get worked up telling this story. Okay, I'll be calm for this story. I'll be calm. I get to Jersey Mike's. I walk in the door. there's two associates that look like they're doing something complicated and trying to figure something out with the cash register and checking out a customer. Okay, they're busy. Okay. I stand there for a minute or so, and I've got these two orders. There's three orders. They're sitting right there, sitting right there, ready to go, like within my reach. Okay. I decide not to wait on all this, whatever they're busy doing, and not bothering them. And I go to I look at the sacks. First one is some other customer. Okay. The second one is one of mine. Okay. I grab it, I take it, and I put it in front of, kind of like in between me and that foot customer on the counter, so I can take my picture. The one staff member kind of like stops me. He says, you're who are you picking up for?" And he doesn't want me do. I can tell he doesn't want me doing that. And I give him a name, and then he tells me that, well, I got to see your phone. We can't, you can't just tell me the name. I got to see your phone. And I'll be honest, folks, the heart started to beat a little faster. The blood started to boil. The blood pressure started to go up. Probably about, bottom and top number probably went up about 30 or 40 points each in that moment, something like that. But I'm staying calm now telling the story. And I was upset, to say the least. I looked at the guy for just a couple seconds. I just looked at him without doing anything. And there was a fraction of a second where what I wanted to do was now just drop both of these orders. Is kind of just like a knee jerk, like enraged reaction type of thinking that I was going through. But I'm not going to do that, okay? And I remained cool and everything. And after a couple seconds, I held up my phone, and showed him the names. And he could tell that I was irritated. And then he goes to say, it's not me. It comes from my manager. My manager is making us check, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah, whatever. And and then I showed him the two names, and he got the other order, and I finished the process or whatever, and then I stormed out of there and went to go do my deliveries. But it's kind of like some of these restaurants, any way that they can to try to, as best that they can, make us delivery drivers feel like we're only 2 inches tall. They'll go ahead and do it. So they're way up here, and we're like the little 2 inch tall, like nobodies walking into that store, is what they try to make you feel like. And I told my wife over the phone a little bit later. I was like, where's it ever gonna stop with like some of these restaurants? Or at one of these points somewhere down the line, when I walk into a restaurant, are they going to make me take off my shoes? Like, you used to have to do at airport security and stuff like that. Am I going to have to start taking off my shoes to get orders when I go into restaurants? Another thing, now this right here, I'm surprised that I've never ran into this in my years of experience with food delivery. I've never went into a restaurant where they required you to bring a hot bag into the store. And that's something that I'm a little bit surprised that I've never encountered that. I would do that because I have equipment and I use it. And if a store started doing that, me personally, I wouldn't have a problem if I was required to do that. Um, but you know, I don't know. This right here though today, this was a little bit different, and this just like I said, just rubbed me the wrong way, and really, I was having a really good day to this point with these shopping orders, and then it gets kind of derailed by a couple declines, and then I do this kind of just kind of janky Jersey Mike order that I really don't want to do, but whatever. So I'm being a trooper and I'm doing it, and then and then I get I, I don't know. I don't know what the words I'm looking. I don't want to use the words I got disrespected when I walked into the Jersey Mike's, but you guys know what I mean. I don't know. This just wasn't good for me at this moment. Delivered at 11:50, 20 minutes later delivered the first one, and then 12:08, so a half hour for my $10.40. Congratulations. $2 and a $3 tip. Okay, now we're done with that. 13.75 10 mile Family Dollar. I decided to go ahead and do this and make this my last order. I wasn't going to meet goal, but close enough. I mean, so and it's going to Darbydale, but let me go down there and see if that construction, because I haven't been down there in a few weeks, and I want to see if that construction's going on. Okay, so these bowls right here, the ounces were not marked on the bowls, but you see here one large and one small, and that's what I got. Like I got what they had on the shelf. I got a large one and a small one, but the ounces weren't marked on it, and the prices on the shelf tags were different than what the app said. But I got lucky because on both of these, it didn't ask to scan the items. It's that button that says add one item, and you just click that and it adds it. You don't even have to scan it. So like I said, what they had, I've got a big one and a little one, and put them in the basket, and I hope that's right. And then the other thing was the water. They didn't have any cases of water sitting out, so I asked a worker, and she said, let me go check the back. And she found one and brought it out to me. And so, sweet, I got the water. I go down, I'm following GPS to the customer. It's the Darbydale Trailer Park. So I'm going down, and then I'm approaching an intersection where my GPS says if I turn onto 665, it'll shave off 5 minutes. And I went ahead and made the turn. But I told my wife, okay, well, let's see what happens here, because I might have just messed myself over, because this is the shortest way, and I'm hoping that bridge is open. Okay. So I'm getting closer and closer to the customer. I'm within like a mile and a half. I'm about to make one of the final turns, and I look over. No, it's still under construction, and it looks to be like it's not even close to being done. It looks like they just started on it. And it's been going on for like over a month now. So, where I said like a few weeks ago that I was going to leave Darbydale alone for a couple weeks time or whatever, now for all of the whole rest of the year. Now I'm not. I'm going to give it like months before I try to go down there. So maybe not even till like February or March. But I had to go down there to see that it was still out. You know, And I mean, it's gonna have to pay. It'd have to pay like over $30 before I change my mind and go down there for an order. And I don't get $30, $40 orders going down there. If I'm damn lucky, $20, but not going down there for $20. So then I had to take this other detour, a crappier detour than if I would have stayed on the original route. Now this other detour that I took, country roads, extremely narrow. I had a couple of times I had my right tires actually had to leave the pavement because there was not enough room for two cars to get by each other. That's how narrow these roads were. Dangerous. And my wife's reassuring me as I'm going. She's like, "Well, just it's your last order. Just you just got to get through it." And which I did. And it's kind of. And I go into this trailer park where it'd be nice if one of these days they fixed the pavement in there. Fix that bridge and fix the trailer park roads. Man, all the potholes and you could really mess up a car in there. Um, not 5 minute shop, okay, and delivered at 12:40, so 40 minutes for my 13.75. I made it. And I was expecting this to be zero tip, but no, there's a $5 tip on this. Um, and then my long 7 mile plus drive back home, but it wasn't as treacherous as getting there. And that's it for today, folks. And so anyway, 11 deliveries today for 148.61, 126 miles. So again, I made goal on mileage. You see 6 hour 45 minute dash, active 5 hours 44 minutes of that. So again, just 1 hour downtime. Now at 5,537 lifetime DoorDash deliveries, and my AR improved to 39%. And we'll do this all again tomorrow from 6 to 11 a.m. and record the video and then go out of town for a couple days. And that is it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it very much. Make sure like the video, share it, subscribe to the channel, all of the above. Be sure to drive safe out there, and we'll catch you at the next video. Thanks again.